Welcome to another episode of Behind the Needle. I am with one of my favorite people right now. Betsey Neddermeyer is actually a longtime friend of mine. I think we've known each other for about 3 or 4 years. You're one of
Wow.
my first friends that I made when I started to be in the world of aesthetics. And I'm really grateful that you're here today. I think that this conversation is going to be really insightful for a lot of people. I'm excited to introduce you. I won't just yap on and on about who you are and how amazing you are. I want you to share how amazing you are too and what you have done because it truly, what you have created out there in the booming metropolis, the booming metropolis of Cody, Wyoming, is fantastic to hear about. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to interview you. I also wanted to get you on here because I think that you are smart, you're scrappy, you don't overextend. I know that you're going to disagree with me. You don't overextend yourself in the sense that you haven't done anything in the practice that made you feel like you're going to go under. You're smart about your decisions that you make and your investments that you make. And I know this because it took me approximately 2 to 2.5 years to get you to let me do your ads. There was a lot of
Yeah.
conversations that happened in between
Yeah.
those 2 years of before I started to do your ads. And but I've watched you from the beginning since I've known you, and I just med spa owners that want to grow and succeed need to know who you are and they need to listen to what you have to say.
Thank
So
you.
that's why I wanted you on here. Betsy, tell us whatever you want to, kind of just like about the background and how you got into where you are today, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. Well, I think like most of us who have branched out and are entrepreneurs and built our own thing is we had something either devastating happen or an employer that didn't jive or whatever the case is. So I'm not really different in that way that kind of some similarities happened with me too. I did primary care for 9 years and I was just working for the machine and doing everything that you're supposed to do when you get out of school and I thought that was the right thing. And then I became the patient and I had some things happen. Um, I got pregnant with twins. I ended up losing them early. I was on bed rest for 2 weeks in the hospital, and not once did anybody come in and educate me about it. I'm not an OBGYN. I don't know anything about that world. And so I just really got firsthand that experience of like, this is what it's like to not know my options and to like
Yeah.
have a really devastating outcome. And then it was like a couple of years later, I have a genetic mutation that makes me high risk for breast cancer. I've had ultrasounds and screening since I was 22, multiple biopsies. My mom was diagnosed when she was 32, and I got my MRI when I was 32, and I had an abnormal. So some big decisions. Do you get a mastectomy? Do you get another biopsy? Do chemo, radiation? My daughter was 2 years old. A lot of things. And again, I felt like I was failed a little bit as the patient, and I wasn't really
Mm.
given the whole thing. And I had to do a lot of my own research and what else could I do? And bilateral mastectomy seems so radical and just all these things. And so I started doing a lot of my own research, a lot of my own training outside of what I learned in school. And that's when I almost found it was like unethical for me to continue as a primary care provider because I knew how much more there was to offer people. I also knew that like the patient deserves more of a conversation of like, not only are they these drugs out here that can do XYZ, but what does your lifestyle look like? What are you putting in your body? What are you doing every day for activity? Where's your stress at?
Yeah.
What supplements do you take? Has anyone like looked at your micronutrients? Like all these other things. And I couldn't do that in a primary care setting because that's not insurance covered. Um,
No.
and so that's when I kind of I built True Body, and it's a wellness aesthetic practice. I technically, so we've been open since, 2023, but I haven't really been in the practice full time, but just like 13 months. So I was
Yeah.
still doing both. But my whole vision for this was like to really give patients like a holistic approach to care and give them all of the options and give them all their baseline medicine as far as like nutrition and exercise and micronutrients and supplements, and then talk like hormone optimization. And then outside of that, how do you feel? Maybe we can get off some of these things. But if we're still
Yeah.
missing something, there's still a time and place for pharmaceuticals and all these other things. And then aesthetics, just pairs really well with it. And it's a department within my dream. But it's not necessarily the full scope of what I really want this to be. So it's kind of an all-encompassing. But that's why I'm here, and that's why I chose to do it.
Yeah. Incredible. Truly. I would bet that the majority, well, maybe not majority, a a lot of providers out there have felt or feel the exact same way that you did of being part of that machine.
Yeah, I think so too.
And but they feel stuck.
Hmm.
They don't know the first steps to take. There are a lot of steps to take
A
to
lot of
get to where
steps.
you
A
are.
lot of steps.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I would probably also say that if everyone knew the amount of steps that you had to take, you
They probably
wouldn't you wouldn't take them.
I'd agree with that too. I mean, there's a little bit of like unknowing what was going to occur and all the things I was going to have to do was a blessing, right? I'm kind of glad I didn't know that. It would have probably discouraged me as well. Um, but I'm obviously looking back, so glad.
Yeah, the fact that you went through what you did with your twins and felt in that moment that you had no support like you thought you would have
Yeah,
triggered something in you. And then the breast cancer gene further triggered it. And you realized you said it was very interesting. I felt it was unethical to go back because you knew that people needed a better level of care and you couldn't do it because it's churn and burn. I actually went to a primary care office yesterday for the first time for something completely unrelated to, but they took my blood pressure and it was higher than it's ever been. And I talked to the provider for probably 10 minutes and he wanted me to do blood labs and it wasn't that high. It wasn't that high.
right.
And it had never been this high ever before. But I just turned 40 6 months ago, 7 months ago. There's some history in my family with this. And so I understand he was trying to be proactive about it, but what I'm telling you this for is exactly what you're saying. He recommended like I don't remember the name of it, but it was to check like the calcification inside of my heart and my arteries, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
and to do that type of test, to get the labs, to potentially start thinking about going on a medication. And I was like,
That escalated quickly.
I said, bro, I just met you and you're trying to get a home run here. I'm like, let's go to first base here, please,
Yeah.
Mr. Sir. And it was very interesting. Had we had like I am very healthy. I exercise a lot. I have a good diet. I try to manage my stress as well as I can. We've had a lot of stress in my family over the past several months, and that
Yeah.
could be having to do with it. It could be my hydration levels. All this to say is like I agree with you.
Yeah.
But what's unique about you is you actually did something about it to create something different. And that is what I think is cool. So, had you ever created a business before you made True Body?
No, I didn't even know
What
how to make an LLC. I
are
didn't know
your
how to do any.
parents entrepreneurs?
No,
Is anyone in your family an entrepreneur?
no, nope.
How did you even know that you could create this other business then? Because like what happened after all this stuff went down? You're like, I need to do something else, but I literally don't know what to do. Did you just take to Google and start asking it
Yeah.
questions?
Yep. I just said,
Literally.
how do you make a business? It said, go to, I think it was an ad, like LegalZoom, create your LLC.
LegalZoom. Yes, yes.
So I was like, great. So I just logged in, created an account with LegalZoom, create an LLC. It took me, I mean, I probably could have thought about the name a little bit longer, but I was like, I don't know, True Body. It took me like 15 minutes. I got it all done, and then I was like, okay, I have a friend who does real estate, and I was like, hey, do you have anywhere that um I could rent some space? And yeah, he was just like, well, I know a guy and we can look at it. And I just like one thing happened after another, but it was a lot of me just like being super vulnerable and not really necessarily understanding like what there was to lose. In my head, I had nothing to lose. And truthfully, I kind of still feel that way. Like
Yeah,
if anything, I'm a PA. I can go and get a job anywhere. I could do telehealth from my office in my house if I wanted to. That's kind of the nice thing about my profession. But truly,
yeah,
like I was not gonna be fulfilled anymore after
no,
that. Like that wasn't gonna work for me.
yeah,
Um, and so yeah, and then just so many things started happening. Reps start reaching out to you when they know that you're a medical spa and, we've got these devices and all these things. And I was kind of fortunate enough to get in with a really good company for my very first device. And honestly, that's what really like I think helped me the most. So if anybody's out there, like not all reps are bad. Um, and
definitely.
the nice thing about, this company that I use, which it's Cartessa Aesthetics is who I got my first device from.
Hmm.
They allowed me a kind of like a practice like development person. Her name was Kelsey.
Hmm.
And I didn't have any social media at the time. She taught me what an Instagram handle was. Like,
Yeah.
she walked me from the very beginning through everything, like how to post, what to do. She helped me with my grand opening and like how to promote it.
Wow.
Talked to the radio station. We're a small town radio station, newspaper still,
The
those
radio.
kinds of.
Yeah,
So, I was super lucky to get on with a company who allowed the like a free kind of opportunity to help build my business and like start that
totally,
marketing and everything.
totally.
So things kind of fell into place without necessarily me trying, but I also think, I mean, if you're not looking for it, it's not going to happen either.
Yeah. So you started off on your own. You found a space. You got a device. You did you
Hired a
learn
nurse.
what's that?
Hired a nurse.
You hired a nurse. That was
Hired
what I
a
was getting
nurse.
at.
Yep.
Was it Ashley that you hired first?
Yep. She wasn't even graduated nursing school. I really didn't even know her that well. I knew of her. I knew she was a genuine person, very loyal, really good work ethic. My husband knew her boyfriend at the time, and I was like, "Can you ask Andrew for her phone number?" And I just texted her out of the blue, and I was like, "Hey, I've got this vision. It's not yet public. This is kind of what I want to do, but I really need somebody who's gonna like be there, like doing most of it." And she
Yeah.
was get planning on graduating in about 3 months, and so she graduated, took her boards, and we opened a month later. So
Wow.
it all just kind of like happened very quickly. But yeah, she was my first hire, and
Were you?
she's my practice manager now, so she's been upgraded.
Yep,
She's
yep.
amazing. She
She is amazing. She's on our
well,
email
my
threads. She's the one I talk
intuition
to when
there
I need
worked.
something. Yeah,
Yep.
your intuition worked. That was good. And connections are funny, but I think that I think that if we look at who's around us, we can find a lot more through that network than we realize. And you did. Like how many people live in Cody, more or less?
Probably like 10,000. I think in the summer it's a lot more. We have a lot of people who like live here in the summer, and I think it's like
Uh-huh.
13,000, but
Yeah. So that's pretty small. The fact that you had a first degree connection to her, or a second degree connection to her, basically, and she turned out to be a rock star is fantastic. So it's like, it's not as hard as you think to find people around you that are great, right?
yeah.
So the vision's always been the same then with True Body. The
Yeah,
vision's always been the same, is to create a place with a fantastic level of care for someone to understand what's going on with their body and to elevate the way that they feel and look. Is that right?
100%. Yep.
Yeah. And so, and that'll probably never change. So, as you've gone through, how did you, after that first device, and if you want to even talk about how you decided on that first device, how did you decide when to add new devices, when to bring in neurotoxins, new fillers, more employees? When to hire stuff out, when to do stuff yourself? Kind of take us through a little bit on the journey of growth and figuring that out to close to where it is now, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, so my first device, to be completely honest, like obviously I wasn't even looking for a device. That was like the least of my worries. I was gonna have some aesthetics and like some wellness, and that was kind of the plan. So when this rep approached me about a device, I was like, well, how do you think this is gonna help me? Like I truly
Right.
don't know, right? Like it sounds like, you've got a good like catalog here of all these things. And so we kind of just like, to be completely honest, like we went out to dinner and I was like, if you were me and you were sitting in my shoes and you just, maxed out your credit cards trying to like open up this facility and you wanted to make sure patients were coming back in, like what device would you pick? And he said the Evo Light 4V because it's got a lot of things on it. It's got laser hair, it's got skin resurfacing, it's got IPL, it can do vascular. And so that way he's like there's no consumables on it. So you're not going to be paying for each patient that comes in. Like he just kind of walked me through that. And that really like kind of gave me this trust because I'm like, okay, that
Mm.
makes sense. Because he was like, these other
Yeah.
devices, there are some consumables on them. So you just starting, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They're amazing devices, but that won't really work. So that's kind of how it started. I was like, okay. And he came to my grand opening. My rep came to my grand opening and
Flew out there.
flew out there, came to my
Yeah.
grand opening, and when I had everybody coming through, he sat in a room with that device and he educated all the clients who came in. This is what this device is. This is what this device can do. These are the results you have. He brought before and afters. Like he really
Wow.
kind of really helped me. Um, I made like $80,000 for my grand opening. And it was just because, I mean, Kelsey helped me market it and he was there and I sold laser hair packages and all these things. And I mean, that was a huge first start for me.
Yeah,
And so there,
that's a huge grand
yeah.
opening.
Oh, 100%. And like, Cody's never had a medical spa. People didn't really know what it was all about. So I think there was a lot of curiosity. And then just coming in and being able to learn the science about something and like truly see
Hmm.
before and afters on people, like that was, sold, right? So
Yeah.
that was huge. That also like that forever like gave me that like I'm always gonna buy a device from these guys. Like they're willing to do that for me. And so from there, I bought, other devices all from them. As I've kind of gone. And I think the next one was the physique for body contouring. And then I went to an event where I met you and I won a
Hmm.
skin wave, which is like a
Hmm.
hydrofacial system. And so that was really cool. And then, the practice manager, Kelsey, was has still been with me. She's kind of been in and out. We kind of we're at a point now where we just kind of choose when we want to use Kelsey because she's kind of taught us most of her tricks. Uh,
Hmm.
but she kind of helped, decide like, okay, here's your volume. This is what you're bringing in. If you chose a device, this is what your payment would be. So, do you hire someone to bring it on? This is how much we would price each package at because of the consumables. Like she was kind of a
Like,
pinnacle point
yeah,
in
really
help.
giving, really putting logic and sense and reality around if you do this, this is what you have to do and in
Yeah.
order to make it worth your while, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And also like my rep wasn't afraid to tell me no either. There was like a device I was looking at and he's like, I'd wait. He's like, I'd wait. Right now you have a device that does similar things and probably just isn't worth it. And that was cool to like hear no. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think, I do that with my own patients because a lot of them are like, I want to do peptides. And I'm like, No, not yet. Like we'll do peptides. We've got a lot of peptides, but let's start here and then we can come back to that. And I think I think that also like creates a level of trust that like, oh, this provider's not just going to shove a bunch of things down my
Uh-huh.
throat and make a bunch of money off of me. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
They're going to wait for when the time is right. And so, that was really helpful to like be told like, hey, now's not the right time and whatnot. But, I've got microneedling, radio frequency microneedling. We've got the skin pen. We've got the Helix, which is a CO2 device. We've got the Evo still. We still have the Skin Wave. I mean, what do we got? Like 4 or 5 devices. And I've got everything I need at this point. I don't need another device. If I got another device, it'd be for fun. Um, but right now, and like they all have a purpose and they all, pay for themselves every single month plus
Yep.
and all those things, but it didn't happen overnight. And I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of people brand new, they're gonna want everything. And it's just smart not to do that. It's also smart to not utilize, equipment financing through, the sellers sometimes and use your own local bank for lower
Mm.
interest rates. And like there's just things that you kind of learn as you go or refinance them with your own bank down the road and get a better interest rate and things like that. There's just a lot of things that you learn as you go, but definitely not starting with everything. Like that would be that you would go under for sure. You just can't, you don't have the volume sometimes to justify all the things.
Yeah, so really it's just practicalities. What can you make the most impact with first? And then you
Yep.
kind of go from there. Because just like the sales rep proved to you that he was trustworthy, he had your back, he could help you sell the packages, which is
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
I I think that that's amazing that he
Yeah.
did that and flew out there. You trusted him and that company to be able to know like, okay, well, I'll receive a level of support that is what I am looking for if I get more devices.
Yeah.
And that's amazing
Mm-hmm.
because that's the hardest part of this. And I have seen that the majority of people that open a med spa struggle to bring in new patients because they don't know the business side of things. They know how to take care of a person
Mm-hmm.
because they have experience doing that. Do you feel like you have always had a natural ability to understand the business, or did you have a lot of painful trial and error at the beginning?
Both, I think. I mean, there's definitely trial and error, and there's definitely things that you shouldn't buy but you do anyways and the following of your money, like the tracking, the actual like cash flow of your business is kind of hard in the beginning and like how much are you actually spending on aesthetics and actually spending on functional and where's the majority of that going and where are your profit margins for each thing like that was not something I had right away.
Yeah.
I could sit down and be like this is my ROI on Botox versus Dysport versus Xeomin. Like I wouldn't be able to tell you any of those things. So a lot of that did happen, and some of that was trial and error as far as like you price things where you think they should be, and then you realize, wow, we're not actually making any money. And so
Yeah.
yeah, there was definitely trial and error, but maybe, maybe I knew more than I thought I did because I
Mm.
think a lot of the decisions, I look back and I'm like, was that lucky or was I just like really kind of in tune with it? Because
Yeah.
I was able to avoid a lot of mistakes just by kind of following my gut on things and kind of just I don't know that just doesn't seem right or looking at these numbers like I don't know if I fully understand them but I don't think this is the right move for us right now and so maybe a both maybe a little bit of
Uh-huh.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you decide when enough is enough? Because you said, I'm good with where I'm at. I don't need more devices. I'm sure you have all the injectables that you want right now. And I'm sure every rep that follows you that's listening to this is, dang it, cringing because you're doing so good. It's like, how do you know when enough is enough? Because there is shiny object syndrome and everybody wants to buy the newest, latest, greatest thing.
I think you truly have to see yourself in like 10 years. You
Okay.
always have to be looking at like, what do I want this to look like in 10 years? And I've always had this like I wanted this to be primarily a wellness space, primarily functional medicine with an aesthetic
Yeah.
department. And so in my mind, I feel like I'm good for a bit
Hmm.
because I've built that piece. I have, if somebody comes in and whether it's a wrinkle or a sunspot or laxity or whatever it is, like I know I have a service that can take care of it. And so that department to me feels like it's set. It's
It's
set up.
dialed.
It's
Yeah.
got everything it needs. All of my staff, are very well trained in all of those things and we're getting good results and our patients are coming back and they love what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And I also think there's something with like even though like you've had a device for so long, you're still learning how to use it. There's a lot of like setting changes that you can be playing with to make results look a little bit different. And
Hmm.
there's always like kind of like off-label things that you can kind of be like playing with. And so I don't think that we've maximized that at this point. I don't think we've been able to like fully maximize all of our devices for what they could do for somebody.
Yeah. So there's more to come even with what you have.
Right. And in 10 years, like, will we upgrade devices and get new devices? Probably. Kind of just depends on what we want to do. But I think my focus, like in 10 years, is like I truly just want like an amazing wellness space
Yeah.
for patients that has an aesthetic department.
Cody, Wyoming is about to be top 10 hottest cities to live in, thanks to you
I hope.
guys.
I hope.
It's going to be there. It's going to be like LA, New York, Miami, Cody. That's
Right.
how it's going to
Oh
be.
yeah. Yeah.
I have another question for you. When you got started as an NP, you a PA, excuse
Yeah.
me,
Yep, you're good.
PA, PA. You had zero customers. You had zero customers when you start because you just literally have no customers. Are you from Cody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like born and raised.
Born and raised in Cody.
Do you feel like that helped start to get a clientele? I'm really, my question here is, how did you get in a town of 10,000 people, 13,000 in a good month? How did you grow the business from the get-go in a small town?
I do think being born and raised here makes a difference. I'd be lying if I said it didn't, because I think there was a lot of people who just wanted to support me, whether they were close friends or just knew about who I was. Just kind of wanted to support me and came to my grand opening just like interested in seeing like what this was going to be. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think that there was definitely a bit of that. But I mean, I think, the marketing in the beginning was pinnacle. I spent over $100,000 on marketing in
What?
my first year. I
How
am
many radio ads is that?
it was a lot of radio ads, a lot of
You were
news,
the only commercial rolling for two
right?
months in the town.
And we just supported like, our high school sports teams. We did a lot of like uniforms. We did ads and everything. Um, we did a lot, as far as our
Are,
marketing goes.
are there any billboards or bus stops in Cody?
There's not bus stops. I mean, there are bus stops. I'm not on any bus stops, and there are billboards. But again, I looked into all of that. I said, what's the best
Yeah.
return on income for marketing? And direct mailers was the best return on income if you look. And so I did direct mailers, and it was about
Really?
10,000 to $12,000 every quarter. So that was a big thing that I did. So I did a bunch of direct mailers. I put a coupon on the back. If you come in the next whatever, it expires, but you get, a free something or a discount or whatever. So I did a lot of direct mailers with
Are you still doing direct mailers?
we haven't done a direct mailer in a bit, but we are going to be doing another direct mailer because we're expanding. And so I'm gonna want everybody to come in and check out our new, like our expansion once it's ready.
Okay, well, so that answers the question. You had a community which could go either way. If you're in a community that isn't supportive, it could be bad,
Yeah.
but you were in a good one. I feel like a lot of small towns are
Yeah.
generally very supportive of people who are
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
as long as you're a good person, and you are.
Right. Agree.
So
Yep. Yep.
so that helped. Direct mailers, surprising. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
You did $100,000 in advertising over what period of time?
It would have been my first year. So from
Wow.
February of 23 to February of 24.
Wow.
My tax guy was like, you need to stop. You're like, you're everywhere. You're at everything. I see your name at the rodeo. I see we do, they do like fun things in the summer where bands come in. You're like, you're at you're doing the battle of the bands. Like, you're everywhere. I open my mail. You're in it. So he's like, let's maybe simmer a little bit. So I simmered quite a bit. So that number has come down drastically. I think it was uh, like 20,000 or something, the last year. So.
Which is amazing. But I do think that you did it right. You
Oh,
there wasn't a person in the area that didn't know who you guys were.
and yeah, I did all the surrounding towns. And so we were able to get people from other towns coming to
Uh-huh.
Cody. So that's when we started doing we did outreach in Worland, which is like an hour and 30 minutes from here, and we do labs and we did a lot of things because we were doing our direct mailers everywhere. And so those patients will drive to see me. I have patients who will drive 3 hours to come see me. So we did our direct mailers in a really wide range. Like, yeah.
Wow. There's got to be somebody that does something that you do that they could go closer than 3 hours,
Absolutely, 100%.
but they come to you
Hmm.
because they trust you and you
Yeah,
have rapport and you showed up in front of their face and that's how they found you. So that's great.
yeah,
You just casually dropped in there that you're expanding.
yeah.
Tell your accountant that because you spent 100,000 that it enabled you for this expansion to do this. So what's the expansion entailing here?
We're basically doubling our footprint. So
Oh my gosh.
we're going from like, I don't know what it is, like 1,200 square feet to over 3,000. We're going big. Over
That's
3,000.
almost tripling.
Yeah, I know. I'm like trying to there's one shared space, so I don't know if it quite counts, but yeah, it'll be about 3,100 square feet that we'll have April
Wow.
1st, actually.
And
So
it's the same place, just you're
yeah.
taking over everyone else's spots.
Yes, there was a general surgeon who was in here, and he recently just took a job back at the hospital, and so it was kind of one of those things where call dibs. And to be honest with you, I'd run out of space and I knew I needed to expand, so I purchased a building and I was going to do a build out. And
Really?
yep, and this news came right at the same time. So now I still have a building and I'll rent that out and do something different, but I'll be here. I'll be here for at least the next 3 years, I think, maybe a little bit longer, improve my cash flow, and then now at 3 years, I'll be able to probably build what I want to build versus I bought a building and I was just going to renovate the inside of it, like, whatever. So it'll allow me to really figure out what I need. And I think that's the biggest probably
Hmm.
piece of advice I could give somebody is like, you want to have all the things and you want to have all the devices and you want to have all the rooms. And believe me, I get it. And I also want that too. But
Hmm.
it took me starting so small. I just had like 3 treatment rooms to begin with. And in my head, I'm like, if I have 3 treatment rooms, then I need 3 providers. And so I hired a nurse and she was doing the aesthetics. And then I had my other nurse and she would be doing lasers and they would kind of flip-flop. And then there was myself. So I wanted to make sure every single room was like making me money. And then from there, I found out like, okay, functional medicine, like this is, one, my dream, but I want to expand that. So we built out another room and that's where we did labs out of. And so you kind of just figure out what you need based off of like
Yeah.
where you're headed. And I didn't know that
Yeah.
at the beginning. I would have never thought like, oh, I need a room just to draw people's blood in because I didn't think I would be drawing that much blood. But I draw like
Yeah.
$20,000 worth of blood every month. So it's like, wow, we
Wow.
need a space for that. We need a body composition room where people can come in and get on a scale, every 4 to 6 weeks in our program. We need a room where we can just sit and talk with people and like go through what we do here. We need a so you, I have this space
A get to know
standing
you
too.
room almost? A get to know you
Yeah.
better?
Yes, that is exactly what it is. Get to know you room.
Something like that.
Yes, yes.
I love that. And I will touch on that too. That the get to know you. So you told us about this that you've implemented this get to know you consultation.
Yeah,
There's nothing better that you have implemented in your practice than that. I promise you.
yeah.
Because the difference between a successful med spa and a not successful med spa is, are you actually taking care of the patient to the full extent that you're able to do? And that is the whole reason that you created TrueBody, because you
Yep,
wanted people to be taken care of. If
yep.
you give a great consultation, you will have great results.
Hmm.
People are coming there to look and feel like you.
Yeah,
And if you tell them the path of how they can achieve that, they will buy it.
100%.
So
Everybody.
that is the best thing that I think you could do is have a room dedicated to consultations where they know like you're serious about how they're doing and how they're looking and feeling.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about wellness.
Okay.
And how long have peptides been around? Because they're everywhere lately.
Insulin is a peptide. Insulin.
Insulin is a peptide.
Insulin is a peptide.
So peptides have been around since human beings because we all have some insulin, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, like
So,
artificial insulin, what diabetics use are peptides. And so the GLP-1s are peptides, and those,
yeah,
I mean, those have been around for 80 plus years. Semaglutide about 20, a little bit more. So yeah, peptides have been around for a long time. They're gaining traction because celebrities and professional athletes are using them. When Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles tendon, it wasn't just a miracle that he was back on the field in like 6 weeks,
yeah.
right? So I mean, yeah, I think they're gaining more traction and people are learning about them. They're definitely not new, but I think it's just more talked about because of celebrities for sure.
And what are the most commonly uh, administered peptides you have right now in the practice? Like, what conditions or symptoms are you treating mostly?
Well, weight loss is a big one. So all the GLP-1 peptides, right? So definitely using those in a compounded fashion. And then as far as like I'm helping people with like their performance, whether that performance is just showing up as a grandma and being able to take care of their grandkids, or if
Hmm.
that performance is I want to go run a marathon, or I have a big, deer tag and I'm going to be in the mountains for 3 weeks, like whatever that performance looks like, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm targeting. So I use a lot of like the growth hormone secretagogues, like the ipamorelins. I do CJC 1295. For weight loss add-ons, we do a lot of tesofenacine and AOD. There's honestly so many peptides. BPC 157 is really nice for like a reparative, regenerative. Um, GHKU copper. I mean, to be honest, like there's so many peptides.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of overlap. So patients will come in and they'll be like, I really want MOTS-C. And I'm like, why do you want MOTS-C? And they're like, well, I heard, it can do this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, a lot of things can do that. But like, tell me a little bit more about like why you thought of this. Did you just read this and thought like, man, I could,
Hmm.
I could use a little bit of that? Or are
Hmm.
you like thinking that that's what you want to do? And so my biggest thing, to be honest with you, is before I even get into peptides, is we talk baseline medicine. Baseline medicine is just lifestyle. Like I have very specific criteria. You got to get on my body composition scale. We've got to key in like how much protein do you need every single day? How many calories is that? To
Yeah.
maintain or lose weight. How much water should you be drinking? How many steps should you be getting? How much should you be working out? What kind of workout does that look like? And then from there, let's look at your labs. What's not optimized? We talk about hormones. We kind of get you on your hormones if you need them, and we get those optimized. And then we're like, okay, now how do you feel? And if you're like, well, I feel good, then great. We don't need to do any peptides. There's some
Hmm.
supplements and stuff
That's
that
so
there.
interesting.
But if they're like, well, I'm still not sleeping that good, or my could be a little bit better, or I've got this big race coming up and I'm still kind of fatigued or sore after I'm working out, or whatever the case is, that's when we kind of choose specific peptides and we go down that. It can get really expensive. And I'm not here to waste anybody's money and I'm not here to shove anything down anybody's throat. But if you can tell me kind of what you're struggling with, I can probably find the peptide you need. But when we go out there and we're just reading about, well, this one's going to make me beautiful and my hair is going to grow and all these different things are going to happen, like that's not going to happen to everybody. Maybe we should
Yeah.
find out why your hair's not growing to begin with. Maybe we should start there. So
Hmm.
it's very different. My approach is very different. I don't use any online peptides. I use everything from pharmacies. I trust my pharmacies. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of education. I'm constantly learning. I definitely don't know it all,
You
but
are.
yeah, it's just one of those things that I really try to just set a foundation and educate. Everybody gets a folder when they come in. It has like all the things on it. So they know like, well, Betsy didn't talk about this, but it was in this folder. So I'm gonna message her in the portal and I'm gonna ask her about it. And so I want them to feel empowered that like we may have not had time to touch on it during their appointment, but here's these handouts and here's these things, read through them. And so they have the opportunity to like still ask me or Google them or Chat GPT them or whatever they want. Because
Yeah.
that's what I feel like I didn't get as the patient is I didn't get all of my options and I don't know what I don't know. And so if they at least know like what options there are, then that helps them ask me the right things because I won't know
Yeah.
what to ask for them.
Yeah. It's not just as simple as and such celebrity is on this peptide and now they feel amazing. It's
Right.
just the body is very complicated. I
Mhm.
love what you're saying. And I love that you're just not handing stuff out and that you're respectful of people's money and like honestly their brain too with this because this is a lot. The only thing I remember of the peptides that you just said was MOTS-C because there wasn't a ton of numbers and all the letters number
Yeah,
combos. And I'm just like,
everything else, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what MOTS-C is. I need to look this up. But I really just I love your approach to all of this. I really do. I do. I just feel like when the way that you talk about this, like you really just do care about people.
Yeah, I really, really just want everybody to have a chance at whatever they're trying to do or get to. I want them to have a chance. And I may not fix it. I may not be like the right one. And, my approach might not be right. But if I can at least open their eyes to something and help them find the right path, like that's what makes me want to keep doing this. That's what makes me want to do this. Like I truly
Yeah.
love sitting down and just like talking with somebody and learning about them and what are their struggles and what are their wins and like how can I make it better? How can I make them live till 90 and feel amazing and not be in a nursing home and be on the ground with their grandkids? Like that to me is winning. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily stealing everybody's money.
I love this. Do you offer telehealth appointments for
I do.
weight loss, peptides, all of the wellness side of things?
I do. I do. There's some things that like there's certain controlled substance restrictions, like I need to have like specific licensing in your state in order to prescribe specific things and whatnot. But I'm always happy to do a consultation with people and kind of see what
Okay.
they're interested in and stuff like that. A lot of my patients I do virtually, even if they're all in the state of Wyoming, they're just all over the place. And so I'll just send them their lab orders. They can get them drawn at their local hospital. Like I'll
Yeah.
review them virtually. Like absolutely. If I can prevent a barrier to this type of care, I'll definitely try and do it. There's some,
Amazing.
restrictions just with licensure in different states, but yeah, the barrier is the problem. And sometimes the barrier is cost, and sometimes the barrier is just location. Um, but I think the biggest barrier is we just don't have the education. We just don't know what
Yeah.
to ask. We don't feel good and we don't know why. We don't know what to ask.
And we don't know what to ask is totally true. But
Yep.
you do. Okay, so if someone wants to get a hold of you, do they go to the website? Do they call the office? Do they hit you up on Instagram? What do they do?
They can do all of the above, honestly. They can call or text the office and get an appointment. They can go to our website, truebodymedispa.com, and hit book now, and they can go there. I would say you can message our Instagram, our TrueBody
Okay.
Instagram. There's honestly any way we'll get back to you. We'll figure out what we need, depending on
And
where
it's
what they want.
And the company's Instagram is truebody.aesthetics.wellness for anybody that wants to go follow, and you should. And Betsy, I just am so thankful for your time, truly. I think that you and I could talk for a lot longer. We'll have to have you back sometime for a follow-up episode too after the remodel is done. And
I love
after
that.
and
Yeah.
after you're going through done with all these things, but what you have created and your philosophy with things is so admirable to me. It inspires me with my business, honestly,
Thank you.
and try to take the same care and approach with my clients that you do because the people are what matter in this
Yeah.
world that we're
I
doing.
think you do
That's
a great job, Mike, with
oh,
your
thanks.
I'm one of your clients and I would say you do a very good job at explaining things too. So no, be proud of that. I
Thanks.
appreciate you having me on here. I've never been on a
Yeah.
podcast, so this was pretty cool for me.
Well, there's no way I would have ever known this was your maiden voyage, but
Yeah.
we all are grateful for what you have shared and go follow Betsy and go follow True Body. And until next time, everybody, take good care of yourself.